Hello Solutioneers, welcome back to the Upstream Vlog. I'm Brooking Gatewood, host of the Indisposable Podcast, here with a special episode on women in the reuse movement. The idea for this vlog started when we were trying to decide who we might interview for Women's History Month for the podcast, and realized that in fact there are so many innovative, visionary, women-identified solutioneers in the reuse movement. So we got a little lost trying to choose just one or two to feature, so I thought, why not highlight them all? Though that of course would be nearly impossible and make for a very long video, we decided to offer a roundup here on the vlog, highlighting some of the many amazing women I've already had the privilege of interviewing on the Indisposable Podcast. And I have to tell you, going back through the archives, I really did get some warm, fuzzy feels of inspiration. The women in this movement are total badasses, and they are the heart, the soul, and the backbone of the reuse movement. And I noticed in the process that there's maybe 5 kinds of leadership from women in this space. And we've got community organizing, entrepreneurship, culture shaping, system changing, and thinking global and acting local. Of course, all these things connect, but since our brains like structure, I'll use these buckets to organize the deluge of greatness you're about to receive. And of course, if any of these stories pique your interest, listen for the episode number and you can go back and listen to or share the full episodes with your friends to learn more and help lift up the stories of these leaders. Because history certainly suggests, unfortunately, that women tend to get far less than our due credit. Okay, so on that note, let's start with women leading change through starting businesses. We might call these ladies entrepreneuresses, or at least that's what I like to call them. So I have to start with one of my personal favorites, and that is Chloe Vichot in New York City. Her work with Fresh Bowl, which is in vending machines in New York City. How cool is that? This one is episode 12, Vending Machine Makeover, and Chloe's personal story is such a great example of how a simple idea well executed can be a total game changer for public health, local economy, and the environment. Then there are the many amazing women building reuse businesses around the world to make throwaway go away. In episode 14, for example, Reuse Made Easy, we talk with Sasha Qureshi, award-winning designer and founder of Cup Club, now called Club Zero. And then episode 20, we talk to Vessel founder Dagny Tucker about her epic journey bringing reusable cups to cities across America. There's also Lauren Sweeney with Deliver Zero, episode 49, Lindsay Hole of Dispatch Goods, episode 26, Lindsay McCoy of Plain Products, episode 60, and Sandra Noonan of Just Salad in episode 54. And one of our most recent episodes with veteran reuse cup pioneer Abigail Forsyth, who's the founder and CEO of Keep Cup, which has been around since 1998 and is now one of the top reusable cup companies in the world and voted #1 reusable cup by GQ just last year. Okay, that's a lot, and there are so many more women leaders building businesses that will bring us a better way than throwaway. And I can't name them all, though we will keep having them on the show. And if you know of any that we think we should talk to, let us know at info@upstreamsolutions.org. So I can't end the Entrepreneuresses round without a shout out to Break Free from Plastic's former global communications lead, Shilpi Chotre, who has done so much to bring this movement onto the global stage in a big way, and who also somehow runs her own plastic-free beauty products company called Samudra Skin & Their soap is amazing. I use it personally, and Shilpi is amazing as well. So you can learn more about her business building journey in episode 8, Beauty Without Waste. And it's extra exciting to share that these days you can also hear her voice on the other side of the podcast mic with the new show she launched last year, People Over Plastic, part of a new BIPOC storytelling collective that she's co-founded, working toward an anti-racist and plastic-free future through dialogue. The show is excellent, and I highly recommend adding it to your podcast list. And speaking of anti-racist collective action, let's talk about what women are doing in environmental justice and community organizing in this space. And again, this is a long list, and there are so many more people that I can't name that we haven't yet had on the show. But some of the many amazing female leaders fighting for the justice in this country, I gotta start again with one of my personal heroes, Diane Wilson, who I was humbled to interview in episode 15, Force of Nature. Diane inspired me as a young activist, so it was a huge honor to talk to her in this one. She's a co-founder of Code Pink, an all-around unreasonable woman, and author of a riveting autobiography by that same name, and lately has been fighting as part of Break Free from Plastic efforts in the Gulf Coast to keep nurdles and other toxic side effects of plastic production out of Lavaca Bay, her home waters, where she's been fighting for decades to protect. On a similar theme, another great episode to check out is episode 45, Changing the Narrative, Environmental Justice and Plastic Production, which features Mary Aguilera with the Ohio Poor People's Campaign and Sylvia McKenzie with the Louisiana League of Conscious Voters. They are both also forces of nature with lots of wisdoms to share with the next generation of organizers. And to hear directly from that next generation of organizers, check out episode 32, Students Can Be Teachers Too, with California youth activists Ithara Menon and Valerie Nguyen, who started organizing as soon as they got to college and successfully championed historic California climate legislation and a UC-wide ban on single-use plastics while at the UC schools themselves. And then there's all the amazing women behind Reusable LA, who received the most impactful community leadership award at the inaugural Reuse's National Reuse Awards in 2021. In episode 70, The Power of Community and Coalitions, I spoke with the co-chairs, Alison Waliszewski from Five Gyres, Emily Parker from Heal the Bay, and Melissa Aguayo from Break Free from Plastic, who I want to shout out extra loud for her tireless behind-the-scenes work to support collaborations in this movement, including helping us connect with amazing guests like these for some of our environmental justice themed episodes. Next, I want to highlight some culture shapers, influential women in the media and entertainment worlds who are using their platforms to raise awareness and change mindsets away from our throwaway economy. In episode 6, we talked with Upstream Ambassador Caitlin Fitzgerald, a humble, Maine-born, down-to-earth, but kind of big-deal actress, mostly known for her role as Libby in Masters of Sex, and a staunch advocate for reuse and dismantling the fast fashion industry. We also got to talk with Leah Song of Rising Appalachia in episode 9, Slow Music, talking about sustainability and touring, how we live, and making me melt a little bit as I got to interview one of my very favorite artists on the planet and then got to watch their show afterwards in LA, and it was kind of a dream come true. In episode 63, I got to speak with Fast Company senior staff writer and sustainable design specialist Elizabeth Segran about how she uses her platform as a journalist to bring attention to these issues. And in episode 65, we talk with Danni Washington, who emceed the Reuse's last year and is a world-renowned science communicator, TV personality, and conservation activist. We are huge fans of Danni over here at Upstream and how she uses her platform to promote science, education, environmentalism, and to break down barriers for women in science, especially women of color. And in episode 3 and 37, we talked with wild and wonderful plastic-free mermaid, Kate Nelson, who has built a huge social platform from her own commitment to living without disposable plastics for over a decade and sharing tips for others to make changes in their own lives. Speaking of changes you can make in your own lives, some of my favorite stories come from the people who have found a way to do something in their own local communities to make reuse a reality. Like Nikita Palmasani, eco-artist and zero-waste educator who manages a community-run waste, recycling, and reuse center on Lopez Island just outside of Washington. That's episode 7. We also have Jess Blasko, one of our Plastic Free July contest winners in episode 29, who managed to successfully launch her refill station in Portsmouth, New Hampshire during COVID. And Vanessa Pope, who started Mud Lab, Oakland, a zero-waste coffee shop and grocery, episode 31. Lily Broberg Strong, who's bringing earth diapers to women's shelters in Santa Cruz, California, episode 43. And Crystal Driesbach, the 2021 Reuse Activist of the Year for her work in Durham, North Carolina. And last but definitely not least, There are the women who are playing the big, heavy, difficult, long game of the slow steps towards large-scale institutional systems change. From Aimee David in episode 13, Indisposable Concessions, who is pioneering zero-waste concessions at the Monterey Bay Aquarium and working to spread ideas to zoos and aquariums across the country. Then there's Kelly Dennings, episode 50, longtime campaign organizer in this space and active National Reuse Network member, and to many of the women leaders who do the hard work of campaign strategy and execution day in and day out to slowly chip away at systemic change. There's also academic researchers like Jane Muncke with Food Packaging Forum. You can hear her on episode 22 on reuse, resilience, and COVID-19, as well as checking out our Unwrapped conference website that she helped organize, bringing together scientists from around the world to talk about toxic impacts of plastic in food packaging. We also have law and policy researchers like Michele Oko and Michelle Nolan at Duke. Check out episode 30. And national policy leaders like Yinka Bo-George and Judith Enck featured in episode 40. And of course, our own Miriam Gordon, who's been at this for decades and is a guest on many of our episodes, helping us try to remember why reuse wins every time. Whew! All right, and speaking of Upstream's own lady leaders, shout out to Samantha Summer, who has been tirelessly working to disrupt disposable food service and build a new path for institutional dining. And you can hear all about that in episode 39. And we hope to have more exciting news about that project this year and in the years to come. And then last, but also first, it seems fitting to close where Upstream began with one of our most recent episodes interviewing our co-founder, Helen Spiegelman, an early leader in environmental producer responsibility and what is now known as the reuse movement. Okay, that was a lot, I know, but the crazy thing is it's really only scratching the surface. There are so many powerhouse women helping fuel this movement, using their unique talents and vision to drive in so many different ways. And as Mindy Kaling has recently been quoted for saying, if you don't see a clear path for what you want, sometimes you have to make it yourself. Well, that's exactly what's happening all over the world as women help build the road to reuse, just as they have helped pave the way for so many social transformations before. And it's a nice thing sometimes just to pause, recognize, and give thanks to those who've helped make our world a much better place. So if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Onward.